Okay, guys, Surfside, the Dirty Dozen version. I'm a Dirty Dozen pointing at the board. All right, Mama Bear, her cubs, NTSB. All we care about is protecting government. Surfside, taxes first. Miami-Dade Police Department, mayor, jokers. Okay. We got another vehicle added today. Little scrubbing machine. Alright. In all seriousness, it's going to come out really nice, I think. Let's just talk about what we can see first. Punch shear. First, we start off in the beginning. The BMAs, they're not present. Beams missing in action, someone said. Love it. We used it. Beam missing in action. Beam missing in action. Beam missing in action. Times 2. 1, and then that's a transfer beam, and the other one's a connecting beam. Incidentally, this is where they thought it needed to be installed there to take the loads of the vehicles. Little scrubby machine wants to get on. No. So that beam would have been taking a load over here, and all this would have been taking a load also. This yellow beam. I'm sorry, the beam here, the BMA. BMA, for simplicity, is just a composite beam, a column, a beam, part of the deck built into it, and another beam. So, or in this case, it can land into a wall also. So, it would look something similar to that, except for there would be a column here, so this would be a column, and then column, and then a transfer beam here, and the loads from this beam goes on top. Not present. Not being present, it lasted. It had many problems with this deck over the years. I theorized that this is where we have that little cardboard. I think that's our exploratory hole, and that's this green pin here would represent our core sample. This represents a construction joint. Right about on top of that column there was the construction joint. There's a pool here, construction, yeah, okay, yeah. I think it lines up with the outside of the wall there. This helps you see elevations because the portal area we come in with the cars had this multiple elevations. So think a washing machine, utility room, stepping up. So we get this punch shear, what I've termed butterfly punch shearing. Which means it just looks like a butterfly roof, where the gutter, where the roof, it looks like this. It's wing shape. You guys can look it up. And so this would be where your water segregates to, and then off you go. And it's called a butterfly type roof. They were done in the 60s pretty much. So I call this butterfly punch shearing because it's two sides to it. It's not just draped. It makes it over to here as after this shears off right here, right where he took a core sample, where they took a core sample right there, and that's where actually a beam support would have been, right about there, taking on these loads, also here. And since these are not here, when this finally failed, punch shearing around this section here, these car loads, this section of the deck actually only calls for 40 pounds per square foot. Adding up the load of all these vehicles on a surface foot, we come up to more than 40 pounds per square foot. Let's now move the vehicles out of the way, or maybe not. Let's talk about Mama Bear and Baby Bear. Little Betty Crocker. Mama Bear hears the noises, right? She goes over to the security guard. Yo, you the noise police. We need you to take care of this. Son comes out to the porch, he says, and looks. Oh shit! Look. Parking garage fell down. So did that. Oh, his latest version is, I'll rescue the family. We must all leave. But Mama Bear already gave her version that these two were standing in a hallway, what they call the corridor, right about here. If you turn and come here, you'd go up the steps here. So the elevation is really kind of weird. But Mama Bear comes back and says, yo, why y'all standing there all frozen and stuff? Let's get out of here. So Mama Bear runs over here. She says, let's leave. I had to put on my clip. No, come on. No road. Leaves. Before you leave, they try to do something with the phone number they state with a guy, security guard. Turns out to be a woman. They leave. 4 minutes before the collapse, after this is already observed, obviously, the parking garage is videotaped from the portal on that side, filmed downwards. Let's get to an angle. So from the portal area, from here, from across there, she films downwards. She observes, the camera records, rather, what appears to be a part of the deck on the ground, right around this column here. But to give it perspective, this is all to tell you what's going on and give it perspective. This is the flower pot. These are the steps coming from their top porch, and then there's flower pot thing, and then this is after the collapse. We see one of these, the pot that was out here, kind of kicked over, and a sausage underneath of it, right? So a piece of it underneath of it from that direction. So my wire's in the way a little bit, and that's kicked. Interesting. I just slid it by doing that. So that's kicked that way. The flower box is. The porch is not present. We can't see the porch. It is still might be there or not, but the flower box presents as just about level, maybe on top of a let's see, right on top of a vehicle down there. Drops down, kind of flat. We can observe it. We don't observe this section here. Now let's start talking about elevations and adding this together. So this one, we have an elevation of 1911 and 18.2. Just over a foot and some change higher. So there's your elevations. Now let's have the deck fail. The drape happens. This is the planter box here. Let's call it the one with the. Now let's refer to that as the couch that people might see. I did in a previous video where I said it separates from the BMA here. Let me take this off for elevation reasons, and take this one off for elevation reasons. Because here's the elevation. Let's say the elevation is, okay, I got to give you something to scale it for. The elevation is up here, 13.4. Okay, down here is 11.10. So I want you to see the elevation change. And that's why I put this up here, so you can see the elevation change. So this is inside their interior. Charles gave me an image showing that pretty much when you look outside apartment 111, out the window, you see the tile floor, maybe 1 inch step down, something about that's about it. Tom said, oh, you know what would also help protect this front porch over here would be the other porches above it, the other overhangs above it. So we'll give that up to some consideration, a lot of consideration. Out here though, we don't have the cover, the porch cover to give us any protection. But here, I'm taking liberty by putting this string in. But I want you to see the string, but this string shows that I can get underneath of it, because underneath of here, there is no wall. So there is no wall here, where you see the cardboard, right there. There is no wall. It's an elevation change from this point. So basically, the engineering of this has it so the loads come down. The floor acts as a brace, but it also goes around through this slab drop, which is from here up to this deck here. So it looks like that. So I'm going to put it in 2 sections because initially it was kind of like that. Same elevation. So it looks like that. Deck down here on top of the deck is here. And then there's a little planter box. That's why I have 2 popsicle sticks glued together. Not really popsicle sticks, but that's what they present as. They're really done for stuff like this. So I have 2 glued together to show the lower elevation box. And then I think there's a small planter box here. And then there's the porch. The steps are over here as you come out of this, onto this porch. Turn and come down the steps here to exit. Maybe go into the lobby here through that door. Part of right here is a ledge still left in place. That will come into play in perhaps future videos. This deck, when it fails, when you have a construction joint, right about here where I have this dotted line, That's where it seems like the building started coming the other direction, and we see a new drape formed right about here going back up, holding with rebar. So I'm not having it come this direction, I'm having it stopping on that side, going all the way down. Now, as you can see, it would have to come up this 1'6" elevation slab transfer difference. It was 2'6" at one time. Now it's 1'6" because they raised the deck by 1 foot. So that reduces that to 1'6". That means that this is 1'6" from this deck to theoretically the top of that, but it's actually a little higher now because this is almost 13'4" now. So it goes from 11'10" to about 13'4" on this deck now because they added those extra materials when they added the pavers. They leveled that thing up, so that added extra load on this side. When we get this failure over here, starting over this way and coming this direction, hitting our control joint, it drops down. It's trying to find equilibrium, something to slow it down until it's going to keep going until it stops. The boy notices, Betty Crocker notices that the deck goes down. He goes and stands in the hallway, kind of panicky, like, you know, Mama Bear says, we got to run, it's an earthquake. They exit, all right? So baby boy didn't go down at that point. So it's not till 4 minutes later. So that he didn't say that right in front of me, maybe it did, but he didn't say right in front of me off the porch, this fell down. Maybe his eyes were laser focused, maybe a tunnel vision, maybe it was all the way back to here. That's, you know, it's consideration that it was all the way here one shot. Or we get two shots at it. These go down together because this is no break inside here. There's no stretching of rebar like we see it over here where it's connected to the main structure. Back up where we see the rebar like that. Over here, the pool, maybe it did drape there and maybe got hung up on these pins here. Well, I don't have that because he saw the cars go down. That's in this row. So maybe he had laser focus and he didn't realize that it was off all the way over to here. I find it odd that it would just hang off of here, but I can make it happen a little bit, but I can't because I'd have to have it turn, and when it draped down, it started draping this way. All right, so it started coming that way. It tore around the columns here. This is a BMA. This is not a column. The column is here and here. So it tore around that. As it tore around, remember we see a little bit of concrete. It appears on the other side as we look down. And I said, I wonder if that looks like concrete on this side of that column. Well, that would be this little section here, I believe. As it went down a construction joint, it came to the building, it dropped down. That gives us that little bit of concrete that we see there, and perhaps it's all of this. The drape would have sheared itself all the way over to this BMA and gone in this capacity. Leaving this, pretty much, it would have just dropped it down, but not draping it. It would have part of the punk shearing, I believe, of the car deck. Was actually part of this deck here. We have the severance of the deck here, so I think it's something sort of like, you know, like pretty big, but like that, including the box. Remember, this is the sausage. That's that other box turned over as this building collapsed. I believe it knifed this box. This box probably was okay when the building went down. It probably punctured all the way down, and so you know where I'm going with it. His laser focus, he didn't realize that he was standing right over here where this was okay. It shook or whatever it did. Anyway, they leave. Earthquake. Remember, earthquake, not just sinkhole. Earthquake. So they're talking about some vibration. So now we get this drop down all the way to here because this is where I show in the previous video where a rot can take place. That 1'6" elevation plus that. Let's move that off the way for a second. Again, this is the surface of the deck. The deck would be over here, not quite going in because there's stone, there's pavers out there. So over here, this collapses down. This now has got rebar reinforcement ripped out of it. It's been traumatized, if you will. It's waiting for this to buckle in, and if this buckles in, now we have our in no longer 7 minutes later or 4 minutes later. M can't take it. It buckles because it's just had materials because of the failure here. Remember we talked about, you got to go to the parking garage video where you see the time, the lag time. The lag time took place. We know the lag time took place. We have a drop. Our lag time is probably more in the order of 7 minutes, but we can call it the 4. She took a moment to start recording, to figure out what she was recording, and then the phone calls identify the collapse. So 118, she starts recording. 122, the building goes down. So that's a 4 minute, not a 7 minute timeline, but we have the people getting out at the floor above. So as this falls down, this rattles this, I believe, M. It rattles it all the way back to the building structure, and that's an easy home run because the column is sitting on here. It rattles it up and down. I'll show that in my video with the blue piece of material, so you got to go to the head of my video and look at deck ledger failure, or you'll find that blue piece of material where I pull on it, or the metal pan, I pull on it, and it shows how you can get the vibration. So we also have data that says that when these BMAs were going to be repaired, that they were seriously fractured all the way through, and one point on them, and the cracks on another. So it shows that it had some sagging in the deck, somewhere sagging in the deck. They're very not clear about which one it is, but we can triangulate. Maybe it was that one over there, but nevertheless, the collapse happened on M, on line M. It happened right on this line. So now we get that little bit of concrete we see around the column there. That's that parking spot that we talked about earlier. This is our elevation. Our 13.4 is inside here. This is the 13.4. That's the walkway. That's the step up. Just so you know it now. So that's what it looks like. Look what happens if we get that to fail through that path. As I look outwards rather, and I remove this. You see the section that I cordoned off with string? We can get this, if this pulls in, everything just starts pulling towards it. It just starts pulling everything down towards here. So now hopefully you see the model, see the floor elevations, and tell me if I miss something here as far as trying to explain it to you and show it to you. So there will be a column standing here, a column here, and a column here. More importantly, our failure back here already gets us tugging on here. There is no, like H, the H is a beam 35 here. There is no beam 35 here. This is open. It's open. This doesn't exist. This elevation is high. It's no solid material like it is over here. This goes down to meet the transfer to the floor deck here. This does not. It actually stops right there and has the break. It has the break. I believe not one break, but we can't quite tell from the camera or angle, but 2 breaks in this system. So there is no wall, no beam going across there. The beams are staggered out here, if you will. And when I say beams, I'm referencing the drop slabs. The drop slabs right here. I'm referencing that detailed drop slab. So right here is where I believe our rot took place. But this detail, this 2'6", it's now been reduced to 1'6" because of the elevation change. Again, 2'6" is over here. Now been reduced to 1'6" because the deck came up. Over here also, 2'6" because the deck came up. So I believe it's solid there. I think we see that it's solid over here on this guy here. We're looking at it. But on over here, it stops here on M. Doesn't pick up again until K, I believe. See the zone that I zoned off with the string, and I zoned it off like that, so it stops. There's a bit of a stagger, comes over, stagger again, goes back, and now it ties back in. So that tie is kind of shifted forward, and coming back around is not really. I mean, it's a good indicator where we can get materials to drop in. If we cause, say, this one to go down, it gets us towards M. Just taking this one out here gets us tugging on the rest of the structure. So hopefully, I hope that was insightful to you. That one goes over there. That's a 7-foot deck. And there's my 12'9" deck. Here's my internal deck. Okay. Oops, joker went over. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the content, and hope it was educational for you. take care. I know it's a short one, and you can pause and talk about it if you want, figure it out. Remember, samples are indicating of where the collapse were happening. There's a sample over there. That's where BMA was supposed to be. You know, so this is like so avoidable, I think, you know. So avoidable, but everything's avoidable once you have hindsight. All right, guys, take care. Can't wait a minute. Can't help it.